Yes, it's BB 2024-007. And then this little dude running out here on the team.
All right, let's do it.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the July 11th, 2024 meeting of the Memphis and Shelby County Land Use Control Board. My name is Mary W. Sharp, and I will be serving as your chairperson today. We will begin this morning's meeting with a roll call. Mr. Ragsdale, would you proceed, please?
Yes, Madam Chair. Mr. Fleming?
Here.
Mr. Gill?
Here.
Mr. Thomas?
Here.
Mr. Tolles?
Here.
Ms. Wilbanks?
Here.
Dr. Pritchard?
Here.
Chair Sharp?
Here.
We have a quorum.
Thank you. I would like to remind you that copies of today's agenda are located at the front right podium if you need them. If you wish to be a speaker on any case that is on today's agenda, please fill out an attendance speaker's card located at the front podiums. Once you have filled out the card, please bring it up front and hand it to one of our DPD staff members located at the left podium. When that agenda item is called, you will be given an opportunity to speak. At this point, I would like to read our conflict of interest statement. The adopted policy of the Land Use Control Board requires that any member of the board recuse himself or herself from any participation in the discussion or voting on any matter on the meeting's agenda in which he or she may have direct or indirect personal interest. The member shall vacate his or her seat during deliberation on any matter from which they have recused themselves. An abstention may substitute for a recusal for the purposes of maintaining a quorum. I would like to now get approval of our minutes from the last meeting. May I please have a motion?
I so move, Madam Chair.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion. We have a second. Is there any discussion? Is there any discussion? Hearing none, I assume we're ready to approve the minutes of the meeting. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say nay. Motion carries. Are there any director's remarks today, Mr. Ragsdale?
No, Madam Chair, there are not.
Okay. Then may I please get a secretary's report for the month and an explanation of today's procedure, Mr. Ragsdale.
Yes, ma'am, I do have a secretary's report, so I will go into the procedure. At the beginning of today's meeting, we will establish a consent agenda for those items where no one in the audience or on the board is requesting an individual public hearing. After the consent agenda is established and approved, we will move on to the regular agenda. For each case on the regular agenda, the DPD planner will give a presentation. This will be followed by the applicant's presentation and any testimony from others who support the application. The applicant and supporters will be given a total of 10 minutes. Following each speaker, the chair will ask the board members if they have any questions for that speaker. Next, the opposition will be given a total of 10 minutes to present their case. Following each speaker, the chair will ask the board members if they have any questions for that speaker. Finally, the applicant will then have a 3-minute rebuttal period under the same rules. Following all the presentations and after all parties have been heard, the chair will ask the board members if they have any additional questions of anyone who spoke. Then the chair will close the public hearing portion of the case, entertain a motion on the matter, discuss, and then vote on the application. If an applicant or any speaker would like to be heard after the conclusion of the public hearing portion of the case, or if a board member wishes to hear any testimony from any party for additional clarification, a motion will need to be made along with the second and then the 2/3 affirmative vote of the board is required to reopen the public hearing portion of the agenda item. If the public hearing is reopened, both the applicant and the opposition will be allowed an equal amount of time to provide testimony. After the additional comments, the board will close the public hearing portion of the case and deliberate and take the final vote.
Again, if any member of the audience wishes to provide testimony in support or in opposition to a case, he or she will need to fill out a speaker's card. These are available at the front podium. Speaker's cards are not required of applicants since their names are already part of the record. The board is supportive of community involvement, and we welcome neighborhood comments and feedback. We are respectful of the fact that many of you have taken off work or adjusted your schedules to be here today, but we ask that your comments be made within the time frame allowed. If there are multiple speakers, please try not to be repetitive so as to make the most of your side's 10-minute time allotment. Lastly, I'd like you to silence all your cell phones so as not to interrupt or disturb anyone during today's proceedings. With our procedures now explained, I would like to introduce to my right Ms. Lisa Wilbanks, who will be this morning's consent agenda chairperson. Ms. Wilbanks will read items 1 through 15 or 1 through 16 as the consent agenda. Once the consent agenda is read, if you wish to discuss one of those items individually, please come forward and give us the item number and we will pull the case. We will then vote on the remaining consent agenda items as one vote, and following the vote, we will hear the cases that were pulled individually. Ms. Wilbanks, would you please proceed?
Yes, ma'am. Item number 2, case SUP 2024-017 in the University District. The request is a special use permit to allow a drive-through restaurant in the CMU1 zoning located at 4615 Quince Road. Staff recommendation is hold for 1 month. Item number 5, case PD 2024-005 in Fraser. The request is an amendment to the Fraser Business Center PD to allow a landfill and recycling center located at 3086 Kasha Street. Staff recommendation is hold for 1 month. Item number 7, case S 2024-015 in Cordova. The request is a 2-lot residential major re-subdivision at 8965 Freeman Oaks Cove. Staff recommendation is hold for 1 month. Item number 9, case PD 2024-008 in Core City. The request is a new plan development to allow residential and retail uses located at 401 Dr. MLK Jr. Avenue. Staff recommendation is hold for 1 month. Item number 10, case S 2024-023 in North Memphis. The request is a 2-lot residential major subdivision at 0 Tully Street, north of T.M. Henderson Road. Staff recommendation is approval with conditions. Item number 11, case SNC 2024-001 in Core City. The request is a street name change for Bates Alley and Park Lane to Stereo Alley, located east of 2nd Street, west of 4th Street, south of Court Avenue, and north of Madison Avenue. Staff recommendation is approval with conditions. Item number 13, case SUP 2024-020 near Lamar. The request is a special use permit to allow a group daycare home located at 2522 Bryan Cove. Staff recommendation is hold for 1 month. Item number 15, case Z 2024-005 in the University District. The request is rezoning from employment to residential urban 1 located on the east side of Waring Road, south of Sam Cooper Boulevard. Staff recommendation is hold for 1 month. Item number 16, case Z 2024-006 in Whitehaven. The request is a rezoning from residential single-family 15 to commercial mixed-use 1 located at 3230 U.S. Highway 51. Staff recommendation is approval. That is our consent agenda.
Thank you, Ms. Wilbanks. Anyone now wishing to pull a case from the consent agenda, please come forward and give us the item number. Okay, we have pulled items number 1, 3, 6, 8, 12, and 14. The items on the consent agenda will now be voted on with 1 vote, subject to the recommendation of DPD. If the consent agenda is approved, then only items number 1, 3, 6, 8, 12, and 14 will have full independent public hearings. By voting on the consent agenda, each board member is affirming that he or she has read the staff report and agrees with its findings and, where applicable, its recommended conditions. Can I get a motion, please?
Yes, ma'am. Move to approve item number 2, case SUP 2024-017 as a hold. Item number 5, case PD 2024-005 as a hold. Item number 7, case S 2024-015 as a hold. Item number 9, case PD 2024-008 as a hold. Item number 10, case S 2024-023. Item number 11, case SNC 2024-001. Item number 13, case SUP 2024-020 as a hold. Item number 15, case Z 2024-005 as a hold. And item number 16, case Z 2024-006.
Thank you, Ms. Wilbanks. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Okay, we have a second. Is there any discussion? Is there any discussion on the consent agenda? Hearing none, I assume we're ready to vote. All in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed, nay. Motion carries. Thank you. Okay, well, now we're going to go to Dr. Pritchard who is the chairperson for the regular agenda.
Agenda item number 1.
Westwood, special use permit to allow a convenience store with gas pumps in the commercial mixed use, that's 1 CMU 1 district located at 4471 3rd Street. Staff recommendation is rejection.
Good morning. This is Masano Statnia with DPD. The case number is SUP 2024-015. The applicant is Fayez Third Inc. Location is 4471 South 3rd Street. The request is a special use permit to allow a convenience store and is located within the District 6 and Super District 8. You can see the location map and also the vicinity map. After we have sent the notices, we received several objections to the proposition. Here you can see the zoning map. It is zoned as CMU1. A history, if I want to bring it now, is that this location has been a CMU3 district, and it has been downzoned to CMU1. And also you can see the land use map here. It is a combination of commercial and also single family district. Here you can see a few pictures of the site. This place has been a car wash previously, but it's vacant now. And the applicant was requesting to put fuel canopies to turn this place to a gas station and a convenience store. We have a few more pictures of this place, and here is a bird view of the site. This is the proposed site plan from the applicant. And the Memphis 3.0 suggested that this request is not consistent with the comprehensive plan. And as conclusion, the applicant is requesting a special use permit to allow a convenience store with gas pumps in the CMU1 zoning district, where there was previously a self-service car wash, and the proposed use will utilize existing infrastructure in place for the current development. This property would include a 3,500. No. Okay.
That is?
Thank you.
You finished?
Okay. Sorry for that. This property would include a 3,500 square foot building as a convenience store and 3 pump islands and canopy. It is recommended that the front elevation of the building contain at least 60% transparency. Ground floor transparency is measured at a point between 2 and 12 feet above the adjacent sidewalk. The goal here is to eliminate blank walls facing public streets. The curb cuts close to Ford Road and South 3rd Street need to be closed with curb, gutter, and sidewalk, with a streetscape added behind the sidewalk at least 8 feet in width, such as type S10 streetscape plate modified with no shrubs. The granting of this special use permit will cause substantial detriment to the public good and will substantially impair the intent and the purpose of an adopted plan or the Unified Development Code. It will be injurious to the neighborhood and the general welfare, and it will not be in harmony with the purpose and the intent of the UDC. To note that, I can't move it forward, yes. So staff recommends rejection. However, if the boards decide to approve the special use permit, we have 8 conditions. First, the canopy lighting shall not extend beyond the area beneath the canopy, and all fixtures shall be recessed, including any fixture or lens. The fuel canopy must be either rear-loaded and located behind or beside a principal building located no further than 20 feet from the right-of-way, and that adheres to the provisions of paragraph 310(2)(b)(1) of this code, or structurally integrated with the located in front of the principal building. The fuel canopy shall be located no further than 20 feet from the right-of-way. One of the curb cuts to Ford Road and one of the curb cuts to the 30th Street shall be closed, and sidewalk and streetscape added behind the sidewalk at least 8 feet in width, such as a typist and streetscape plate modified with no shrubs. The convenience store building facing Ford Road and South 30th Street shall be a minimum of 60% transparency. The fuel canopy height shall not exceed 20 feet. The fuel canopy shall be architecturally compatible with the C-store building and include brick or stone cladding of the canopy support columns matching the stone or brick used in the C-store elevations. A minimum of 3 level 3D fast charging stations shall be installed on site. And lastly, the applicant shall be required to file a revised final plat that will include a site plan, building elevations, landscaping plan, a list of the SUP conditions, and the graphic compliance with the conditions. This will include the memo of conformance process to assure city engineering review and approval of the final plat. That concludes my staff report and my presentation. Would be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Do we have any questions of the staff at this time? Okay, hearing none, we're ready for the applicant to come to the podium and introduce yourself, name and address. Meanwhile, do we have any opposition? I see one letter of support. No opposition? Okay, thank you. Go ahead.
Thank you, David Bray with the Bray Firm, 2950 Stage Plaza North. We're in agreement with most of the staff report until it gets to the part of rejection. And if you go back a couple of slides where they had the conclusions up there, 1 through 4, we're completely in agreement with. Those are incorporated in our site plan. We're closing the curb cuts closest to the road. One thing that was an error that was said was that the car wash was not operational right now. It is. So what we're looking at here is, you've got a vehicle-intensive use that's on this site now. I understand the objectives of Memphis 3.0, but in this case, we're looking at replacement one vehicle-intensive use with another vehicle-intensive use. But if you look at the aerial or the photos of the site, there's no landscaping. It doesn't look anything like what the UDC requires. You've got asphalt all the way to the edge of the right-of-way. You've got a self-service car wash. What we're talking about on this site, and you can see our site plans up there now, is that we've got the landscape screen, we've got the 8-foot buffer, we're reducing the drive cuts by 2. We believe that this is compatible with the area and is compatible with the use that's out there. The applicant's here today. He owns another store in the area. You'll note that there are letters of opposition in the staff report. There's been a lot of confusion about this. This applicant has put in multiple applications along this stretch. One of those has been withdrawn, never even came to this board. One of them was voted up by this board, but unfortunately voted down by the city council. So he's not looking at putting 3 gas stations in the immediate area. He's looking at putting 1, and this is the site that we would like to do it on. We'll have a restaurant in there. Can't say with 100% certainty, but I think it's going to be a Subway. So that will be a part of the building in addition to the convenience store. We've got, and I can give these to staff, we got 440 signatures of support for this. And we've got somebody here today that's also a business owner in the area that's in support of this. We think this would be a good addition. We're in agreement with the conditions, and we would like this board to consider approving this request. Do you want to add anything? Okay. She signed up to speak in support, so.
Give us your name and address, Ms. Robertson.
Good morning. My name is Peggy Robertson, and I reside at 708 Western Park. I am an alumni from Westwood High School. I am a business owner. I am 70 years old now, and I opened my business up in Westwood in 1975 as a hairdresser. And I pretty much know Westwood, and I think that this place would benefit the community, because I had asked the owner to put me a restaurant in there, because we said that we won't cook food, soul food or whatever. And I've been out there all those years. Westwood used to be a thriving place. I am on the main interstate, and Highway 3rd Street is Highway 61 is the interstate. And all interstate does have service stations. They do have places for people to go eat. And right now, on 3rd Street, it's one block. We have 20 plus business from Brown Road Shopping Center to Ford Road. That's a lot of people. At one time, we had 8 beauty salons and barbershops. And now we have about 5, still have 5. At one time, we had Levi Strauss, food stamp off at the post office. We had a lot of stuff going on. Now we still have 2 big stores, Gordon and Save-A-Lot. We also have a service station in our neighborhood that's sitting on Ford Road, Tonto, and 3rd. The other service stations that 3rd, Shelby Drive, 3rd, and Horn Lake. That's a couple blocks from our neighborhood. And I am pleased to have the service station. I have talked to all the business in the community. I am a very outgoing person. I speak. I know all the business owner, and they are well pleased with it to have a new business. And in order to do that is that business will bring more revenue to the city. We pay our taxpayer, small business, and we pay taxes for all things come out of our money as well. And one thing I can say about Mr. Pye and all the business in the community, anything I need, they support me. They trust me, I put it like that. And I'm not hard to trust. And like a month ago, Westwood Community Center needs some T-shirts for the kids for the summer. Neighborhood Watch, they could never get nobody to support them. To give them anything, I told the lady that running the director down there, I said, don't worry about it. I'll go to some people, some owners, some business owners and get the money. So first I went to Pye. He wanted to pay for all of it. I didn't allow him to do that because I knew everybody else in the community. So he gave me majority of the money, and I went to the other and got the rest. So, and then in the community, he always, at Westwood High School, I volunteered over there for 30 plus years. Anything, and I will always feed the kids in the afternoon. He helps me supply what I need. So I go to Bear Catering. He would cater food for me to take over in the afternoon before the school start getting food for the aftercare. So I am well known in my community. I support my community. Yes, I am a neighborhood watch advocate. They know where I stand. And I don't mind speaking up. When people run for public office, they look for me to be at the community center. They look for me to be at a roadside church. Because when people see that they don't, excuse me, and they always don't, excuse me, whatever they say, and they always look for me with this blonde hair. So they say, I didn't see you. And so I'm always there, and they trust me in my judgment. See, like right now, people are calling me for absentee voting cards. So all I did, got on Facebook, told them to bring me some to my shop so I can go with them to the senior citizen. So we are grateful to have by KC Rice and other places there that help us. And I believe that this service station will build up. And the mayor said himself when he came to Mount Vernon Church, he said he would love to see business to be built. He wanted to see Westwood thrive. So we need all type of business in our neighborhood. But, and also, I'm gonna say this, I'm gonna sit down. We came down, they gave Westwood, I don't know, it's $250 million to renovate the Southwest Drive-In Theater. So in May, the pastor said we were gonna start digging. We ain't digging nothing. So, all the things that we want, the restaurants and all that kind of stuff, we asked for that in that package. So, I'm just waiting on some business to happen because 3rd Street do not have business, and I need some improvement on my shop. So I've been there 40, and I've been there since '81. I built my birthday building in '81, but like I said, I started my own business in 1975. So I just pray that you all,
Okay.
think about it, come
All
up with a
right.
good conclusion because we need. We don't have a service station with electric pumps. We don't have a subway, and I pray that this community will support whatever we bring to the community. Like I say, all the business is really on top of it. We game for game. Thank you.
Okay.
Do I need to sit down?
Thank you. We're going to see, do we have any questions from the board members to the support and/or the applicant? Any questions?
I don't have questions. I have a comment, and it's not to the fine lady.
May I
here.
say something before you say it, please? May I say something? When we had that meeting,
Okay, you only have 1 minute left.
the rumor got out. It was a rumor. The rumor said that we wanted to put 3 service stations. That's what made the whole bad. They willing to do a service station. But when that rumor got out, everything went too crazy. Now I'm done. Okay, I'm ready.
So,
Go ahead, Mr. Thomas.
Madam Chairman, I think everyone knows how I am about neighborhoods, and I'm familiar with Westwood. And I've read the opposition, I've listened to the support, but I still oppose this. It's very difficult to convince me that putting a gas station in this community, I think Mount Vernon Church is right behind it, and it's a great community. I just don't see this enhancing that community. And we do want businesses, but not these type businesses. There are enough gas stations on 3rd Street, and I say this with all due respect to the applicant. I appreciate you even operating in this community, but with what we're trying to do and wanting to do in the city of Memphis, especially in the urban parts of this impoverished areas, this is not the type of business that will enhance that. So I will not be supporting this gas station.
Any other questions from our board members to the applicant and/or the support? Okay, hearing none. Thank you very much. Hearing none, I'm going to close the public. Well, first of all, there's no rebuttal because she was in support. Okay, we're going to close the public portion of this meeting.
Opposition.
There's no opposition.
Move approval of agenda item number 1, SUP 2024-0015.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion, and it has been seconded. Is there any
Mr. Thomas,
discussion?
just trying to us talking. What do you think should be there, or what would be a highest and best use you think for that location?
Oh, we can go with, if, I'm in the IT business. If I had my office right there that's providing gainful employment and substantial income, but gas stations and convenience stores, now the ones and I'm sure it'd be a beautiful building, but I know what they bring to those communities. They bring crime, people hanging out, shootings, killings. I have one not far from my house, and there was a murder not long ago. So I know what they do. Yeah. Thank you.
Okay, any other discussion? Any other discussion? Okay, hearing none, I assume we're ready to vote, and I believe we'll vote individually.
Yes, Madam
Dr.
Chair.
Pritchard? You vote, okay.
Mr. Fleming,
No.
McKinnon?
No.
Mr. Gill? Yes. Mr. Thomas?
No?
Mr. Tolles?
No.
Ms. Wilbanks?
No.
Dr. Pritchard?
No.
Vice Chair Lyles Wallace?
No.
Chair Sharp?
No.
Motion fails.
Motion fails. Thank you. Dr. Pritchard?
Yes. Madam Chair, now we will go to number 3.
Right.
MJR 2024-012 East. Correspondence to PD 2010-313. Request for a site plan approval for an indoor storage facility located at 0 Germantown Road. Staff recommendation is rejection.
Madam Chair, would you show me recused?
Pardon?
Would you show me
Okay.
recused from this
Yes.
case?
Okay, Mr. Gill is recused from this case. This is case number 3. Is the applicant present? If you come up and introduce yourself before we have the staff present the case.
Yes, ma'am. I'm Trip Tresvant, owner of
Road, Barbara Road, and Cotton Plant Road. And so this is an image of from Cotton Plant Road, and that's looking south, and this is at the Barbara Road intersection. This is the site plan that the applicant has proposed. The access for the storage facility would be from South Germantown Road, and right at the access would be an office area, and then also 2 buildings for RV and boat storage. And as you go into the site to the west, there are 8 mini storage buildings. And this is a proposal for landscaping around the site. So this is a case that has been held since April. We've been working with the applicant and the applicant's representative for some time, trying to understand the proposal and to get clarity on what the applicant would like to have at the site. And so that is the reason for the holds since April. And so just to back up a little bit, this site is permitted to have an indoor storage facility, indoor multi-story storage. And there was a zoning verification letter that was requested and sent to that effect prior to the application being submitted to the office. However, when we received the application, what we received was for a mini storage facility. So within our Unified Development Code, self-storage is broken down into a indoor multi-story storage, which is all enclosed in one building, and all of the access is internal. However, mini storage is different in that you have external access to the units and you have the bays, more like your typical mini storage that you would see with multiple buildings on a site. So that is what we received for the proposal and the request. However, within this plan development, mini storage is not a permitted use within the plan development. It's not a permitted use in any of the areas, and of course, it's not permitted within the areas that where the subject property exists. This was explained, and we tried to work with the applicant to make sure that that was understood, and the applicant has decided that they would like to still pursue a mini storage use at this location. So staff is recommending rejection. However, if the board would like to approve this, we are recommending that there are revisions to the outline plan conditions. And if you note pages 29 to 30 of the staff report, there are, those changes are marked. And also there is a proposed sketch where there would be a buffer of the limited commercial mixed use that would front the property, or either office uses, and then would allow mini storage to the rear of the property. That completes my report, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Board members, do you have any questions of Ms. Cobb right now? Okay. We're ready for the applicant to speak, and then we do have one card of opposition.
Yes, ma'am. Whether you call it mini storage or self-storage, the name of our company is Hamilton Storage, public storage. We're all in the self-storage, mini storage business. You can call it mini storage, you can call it self-storage. So, I mean, to say that we want to build a mini storage versus a self-storage is silly. To say that we have a right to build a 4-story self-storage or a 4-story mini storage, it's exactly the same term there. Synonyms for the same. She pointed out that what we want is what, like U-Haul did downtown. She showed me the pictures. To me, a 4-story billboard that has glass around the front and all the exposed doors isn't what the neighborhood would want. I'm going with 1 story, masonry in the front. To me, it's absurd to think that the neighborhood would want 4-story with looks like a billboard. after I bought my property, she didn't show the pictures of what's across the street, which is Top Golf with all the bright lights. I can't imagine a neighborhood would want that. But it was approved, I'm sure it was approved by y'all. She also didn't show what's to the south of me, which is a car lot that they got expansion. So I got on the south of me is a car lot, and on across the street is Top Golf. So if she wants me to build another Top Golf, 4 stories, exposed with all the lights on the building, that may be what you get. She also said, well, if he'll put it back 200 feet, which is putting the storage, keeping the site plan exact. Could you go to the site plan, please? Yeah, that. She said, if you'll put it back 200 feet and do commercial across the front, so what she's wanting across the front, to me, is gas stations, car washes, Family Dollar, and the storage in the back. I mean, I know Brown Gill is not voting, but I'm sure most of y'all have gone by and looked at it. I don't even know if y'all know it's his, but it's on Hash Crossroads across the street from Southwind. It's beautiful. I can't imagine why any neighborhood would object to that type of a development versus a 4-story that looks like a billboard. We've won multiple landscaping awards. If we're putting the masonry in the front and the activity behind the masonry, we have wrought iron fences across. If you want a gas station or a car wash, you're gonna have all the trash. The same board denied me on a downtown project at 670 Riverside Drive several months ago because you didn't want a drive-through in the neighborhood. It got approved 10 years ago for the drive-through, but this board said we don't want the drive-through because of all the trash. So what they're saying is, put the mini storage in the back and put the drive-throughs up front. To me, it just doesn't make any sense. I think the neighborhood would much rather have what I have proposed than a 4-story self-storage / mini storage building.
Okay, thank you.
Yes,
We will
ma'am.
now let the opposition, Joseph Lee, speak. Give us your name and address, Mr. Lee.
Thank you, Madam Chair and board members. Good morning. I'm Joseph Lee III, and I reside at 7351 Cotton Plant Cove. I am a resident in the nearby residential area just to the west of the proposed development. In my Three Cove Cloverleaf area, we have about 28 residents. I also spoke yesterday with Larry Colbert, who's the president of the Neighborhood Association in Rose Lee community, which is just to the east of the development. Nonetheless, at this juncture, the residents that I've spoken with, they accept the rejection that's being proposed by the staff at this time. Most of the residents got, if I must say, late notice about the storage development. And at this juncture, we would want it to be consistent with all of the guidelines that are established for this type of development. So based on that, at this juncture, we would oppose the development and we would support the rejection as recommended by the staff. Thank you.
Thank you. Do you have any questions of Mr. Lee at this time? Board members, any questions? Okay, thank you, Mr. Lee.
Thank you.
Applicant, do you have time to rebuttal any?
What I'd like to do is pull my proposal and talk to Mr. Lee in the neighborhood and go from there. Because I don't want to build anything that the neighborhood is going to object to. Doesn't make any sense. If I can build a 4 stories, that's what they're going to get. But I think that I can deal with the neighborhood. If this board is trying to make the neighborhood behind, price values stay high. The neighborhood, I know it was mentioned about gas stations is crime and stuff. I mean, these things are very well secured, internally lit, motion sensors for the lights to come on. They don't stay on all the time. So if I can just pull it, just talk to Mr. Lee and just later bring it back.
Okay, I don't think you can pull it. First of all, we've held it 3 different times. Second of all, I think we just vote on what's before us right now, and then you have the option of going forward to city council or doing whatever it is that you want to do, but I don't think we can pull it. Is that correct? Am I correct? Okay, thank you. We're going to go ahead and any more questions of either the applicant and or the opposition?
Madam Chair, I was just going to mention, you're correct that this can't be held again, so you could vote on it. The applicant could, excuse me, decide to withdraw the case if he wanted to do that. Then he could bring it back after he discusses the neighborhood, or as you mentioned, he could get the vote here. It doesn't automatically go to council, but he could request that it goes to council. So there's some options there. I'm not sure what the applicant would be interested in doing. If a withdrawal is the option instead of getting a vote.
So what do you want to do? You want to withdraw, or do you want us to vote and then you go further?
Okay, could you?
Yeah, if I can withdraw it, I'll just withdraw it, talk to Mr. Lee in the neighborhood and try to get something that everybody's happy with and come back.
And then you got to come back with another application. Is that correct? Because
Yes,
this
ma'am.
is withdrawn. Okay. So do we need to vote on him?
No, ma'am.
Okay.
No, he says we
I
don't.
think we're good.
Okay. Thank you so much.
you.
Yes, ma'am, thank y'all.
All right, Dr. Pritchard.
Yes, we're going now to agenda item number 12, Madam Chair. 6.
Number 6.
You want to hear 6?
Yes.
Agenda item number 6, PD 2024-007 Cordova, a new planned development to allow a new school located at 7801 Fisher Still Road. Staff recommendation is approval with conditions.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
please show me recused from this case.
Okay. Thank you. We have one of our board members here recused from the case. Okay, if the applicant would come up and introduce yourself with your name and address, then we'll hear from the staff, then we'll hear from you, and then the opposition. Can you give us your name and address?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Corey Brady, 9967 Bentwood Creek Cove, Collierville, Tennessee.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, staff, we're ready for the presentation.
Good morning. My name is Chloe Christian. I'm a planner with DPD, and I'll be presenting this case number PD 2024-007. The applicant is Memphis Shelby County Schools with Corey Brady as their representation, and the location is at 7801 Fisher Steel Road. The request is a new plan development to allow a new high school. And here is a location map of the subject property and a vicinity map. 42 notices were mailed on March 25th, 2024 to property owners within a 500-foot radius. And here is a zoning map of the property. It's located in the heavy industrial district, and on the land use map, you can see there is a variety of surrounding land uses, including some industrial, commercial, and some institutional uses as well. Here are a few site photos of the property. One from the corner of Fisher Steel and Herbert Road facing southwest, one from Variety Road facing north. And here are the submitted plans for the high school. As you can see, there is a around 375 square foot main high school building proposed and a 65,000 square foot gymnasium with a variety of athletic fields. Here's a landscaping plan that was submitted. There is a modified S11 landscape plate along the street frontages of the site. The lighting plan. And then here are some elevations of the school. In conclusion, the applicant is requesting a plan development to allow a new high school, gymnasium, and 6 recreational fields on a subject property with an underlying zoning of IH. Per the permitted use table in the UDC, public or private schools are allowed in the IH district with the approval of a special use permit. The high school would be around 875 feet from North Germantown Parkway, around 1,200 feet from a Walmart, and around 900 feet from single-family residences on Macon Road, and a variety of uses surround the proposed site. It should be noted that with the existing zoning, a number of uses could locate on the property by right that perhaps are not the most suitable here in terms of compatibility, providing the highest and most suitable use of the property and contributing to the needs of the area. For example, uses that could be allowed by right could be things like truck trailer storage, a detention center, a lumber yard, or a garbage collection service. So the proposed school use offers a long-term, stable, more community service land use to the site that could be more desirable than an industrial use. Staff believes that the proposed development would not unduly injure or damage the use, value, and enjoyment of the surrounding property, nor unduly hinder or prevent the development of surrounding property in accordance with the current development policies and plans of the city and county. So staff recommends approval with revisions to the outline plan conditions, which can be found on pages 20 through 25 of the staff report. And that concludes my presentation. I'm more than happy to answer any questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Board members, do you have any questions of Ms. Christian at this time? Okay, hearing none, we're ready for the applicant to present your case.
Thank you, Madam Chair, board members. Again, Corey Brady. Before we get started, I'd like to thank staff for their analysis and the presentation they just provided. Staff has been very great to work with throughout the process, and we appreciate their assistance. My role in this project has been the preparation of the plan development documents, the supplemental information that is required by the city's plan development application. And I can say that we are very pleased to have earned the staff's recommendation of approval for this project. And I underscore the word earned because a lot of individuals may not know that in addition to the planning department, or Ms. Chloe here, 8 other divisions in the city of Memphis review these applications: city engineering, transportation engineering, environmental, comprehensive planning, real estate, et cetera, fire. And so I think it speaks a lot that of those 9 divisions, there was not a condition that rose to concern of any of those bodies that would recommend a hold or worst case scenario rejection. So again, we're very pleased to have earned this staff recommendation of approval. We've reviewed the staff report thoroughly and agreed to the conditions that staff has imposed. So with all that being said, what I'd like to do is introduce key members of the team today. And other individuals are here as well to answer any questions that collectively this board may have. But first and foremost, I'd like to introduce Director Patrice Williamson-Thomas, Memphis Shelby County Schools; Michael Winter, Forefront Design Architects, Sal Faraci, Renaissance Group Architects; and Patrick Neal, who Pickering Firm's Transportation Engineer. So again, there are other individuals in the audience here, so any questions you may have, we are sure to be able to address them. With that being said, I'd like to introduce Director Thomas. Thank you.
Could you give us your name and address, please?
Okay, great. Yes, Patrice Williamson-Thomas, 160 North Hollywood. And so first of all, thank you so very much for the opportunity to be able to share with you what we believe is an excellent opportunity for the city of Memphis to have a new school in the city of Memphis proper. The first new school in perhaps over a decade, first new high school in perhaps over a decade. But I would like to share with you why we are actually here today. Of course, there was a state law, TCA 492-140, that was passed, and as a result of a subsequent agreement between the city of Germantown, the Memphis Shelby County Schools, as well as Shelby County government, it required for Memphis Shelby County Schools to vacate Germantown High School and then to build a state-of-the-art school that will provide an equal or better facility and programming as Germantown High School. And it was primarily driven because most of the students that were currently zoned to Germantown High School actually reside in the Cordova area and throughout the city of Memphis proper. And so we are really excited about being able to share with you today some of those plans associated with that, providing that equal or better programming and facility for the school. And so having said that, I'm going to actually turn it over to our design team, who will share with you some of the great things that we anticipate incorporating into the program, including an international baccalaureate program, including award-winning theater and performing arts similar to what was at the current Germantown High School, and as well as sports amenities that would allow us to actually host TSAA events and championships, whereas right now in Memphis Shelby County Schools, we oftentimes have to travel to East Tennessee to actually compete in those type of athletic events. But what you'll see is that this particular site will allow us to be able to bring those tax dollars here to Memphis versus actually sending it to East Tennessee. So with that, I'll actually turn it over to Michael Winter, who's going to introduce the design team and the rest of the program.
Thank you, Chief Thomas. Good morning, board members. I'm Michael Winter with 4F Design, 5101 Wheelers Drive, Memphis. Next slide, please. I want to introduce our team. Renaissance Group, Sal Faraci, and my partner Steve Landwehr is here as well. I was showing this slide to represent that our teams have designed and completed the three biggest high schools in Shelby County successfully, most recently being Bartlett High School and Lakeland High School, or Lakeland Prep, and also Collierville High School. So we have a high confidence level that we can get this project developed and completed successfully. Next slide, please. As Chief Thomas mentioned, the program elements for this school include the minimum program elements from Germantown High School, meaning that we're going to have all the same features in terms of spaces, but also we're going to incorporate the quality and the scale that you see out in Collierville High School and some of the other suburban districts. We're also incorporating additional insight and best practices from the district and from the Germantown High School administration. The program elements include, of course, academic classrooms, STEM spaces, special education, science labs, a full complement of CTE programming. As Chief Thomas mentioned, Germantown High School is a very well-renowned TV studio, also introducing culinary arts, auto, childcare, health services, and others. Also fine arts, including visual arts, vocal music, band, also core elements like the cafeteria, library, media center, study hall, etc. And of course, full complement of indoor and outdoor athletic components. Next slide, please. We've already discussed the location. You know, it's off of Germantown Parkway at Fisher Steel. Next slide, please. This is the current site. Is a number of sites we're cobbling together. Notably, we're also trying to get access to Raleigh-LaGrange through that yellow site to provide another ingress-egress point for the site. This is the schematic site plan. Just to give a little bit more detail on what you see the main academic building in the northwest corner of the property. There's over 1,000 parking spaces on the site, and with the use of student drop-off lanes in the bus lane, the capacity for game day events could be over 1,100 parking spaces. There's also a bus lane that will accommodate 19 buses. Our understanding is that most students will arrive to this site by bus. And there's also an indoor practice facility that you can see north of the football field. There's a football stadium, baseball stadium, softball stadium, a practice field that could be a future soccer field, an athletics plaza, and tennis courts. To go over the vehicular circulation, we've studied this pretty closely to make sure that we can accommodate vehicular traffic on arrival and dismissal times. The yellow lines indicate the bus traffic, which will be coming primarily from Germantown Parkway, utilizing the Fisher Steel Road. The red line indicates the drop-off for students via cars. That's coming primarily from the south, from that extension to Raleigh LaGrange. And then student drivers would use Moriarty to access the student parking lot on the south side of the site. So you can tell we really studied how people arrive at the site to make sure there's no conflict with traffic. Safety and security is a paramount concern for Memphis Shelby County Schools, so this school will feature a number of amenities to accommodate that. The building is located away from businesses. We pulled it as far away from Germantown Parkway and as other businesses as we could. There's also a fence around the full perimeter of the site, which will have gated entry points. There's also, of course, security cameras, controlled access at building entry points, and detailed screening at the entry points. There's only 2 primary entry points for this school, so anyone, whether you're a teacher, student, visitor, or anyone else, has to go through this enhanced screening process that Memphis Shelby County Schools hasn't enacted at other places. And also, of course, Memphis Shelby County Schools and or the sheriff's school resource officer will be on site at all times. And just to give you an idea, we showed the elevations earlier, but these are the renderings that we have, the current renderings for the school, just to illustrate that it's a high quality design using brick, engineered stone, glass, and metal panels that you would see in other suburban school districts. It's representing an enhanced view of what we can do in the city of Memphis. This is a view of the gym and some of the other classroom wings. And then we have also a courtyard that we've incorporated so the students have amenities that they can go and visit outside during the day and still have, next slide please, still have a secure place to visit outside. I think that's it. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. You have about 1 minute, 45 seconds left.
Madam Chair, if we would, we'd just like to withhold our time for any further questions or rebuttal.
For the rebuttal?
Apply that balance to that time.
Okay.
Thank you, ma'am.
Okay, thank you.
We're happy to answer any questions.
Okay. Any questions of him right now? Okay.
Just a comment from me. I just want to thank Memphis and Shelby County Schools. This is blowing my mind just to see a building, a school in our school system. I don't think we have anything like that. And I know the suburban schools may have that, but this is awesome. I wish it was next door to me, to my house. I mean, I would have no opposition to being at a school, near a school like this. This looks like a university campus. And just to see, if it'll look anything like those renderings, I mean, this is an awesome complex, and I want to commend you all, the designers. You did a great job, but Memphis and Shelby County Schools, just thank you for caring for our children to give them a facility like that. This is just, we need more of these. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we're ready for the opposition. We have 5 notes of opposition. Please give us your name, address, and your position.
Good morning. I'm Rick Bennett with Phelps Dunbar, 999 South Shady Grove Road, Memphis, Tennessee. I'm here on behalf of the Cordova Neighborhood Business Association, which is comprised of about 207 businesses in and around this location. And I want to start out first by saying we are not here to oppose the new high school. I agree with the comments. This is an absolutely incredible campus that they're wanting to propose. Our issue is the location of the campus, not the campus itself. Ms. Robinson and Mr. Brady have been very generous with their time. They've come, they've spoken to our business association. We appreciate that. Both of them, they've been very open with us, and I hope we have been with them. But our issue is really the location. This is going to be a great amenity for the city. I applaud what they're doing in regard to the amenities they're trying to create for these kids that they want to bring to this school. This location, however, is being placed in an heavy industrial environment. And so near where they are, there's a Volvo dealership, a Mazda dealership, got a storage facility, a sign company with trucks coming out and parking, and trucks parking in the storage facility. You got a United Equipment Rental, Stuff, which is a manufacturing adhesive facility in the back corner, Kaiser Flooring. these businesses all bring in a lot of trucks and 18-wheelers into the area every day. So this is very different than the typical neighborhood around a school. Well, this is what's happening around them every day, where the kids are coming and going. And unfortunately, a lot of the issues that our association has are not really things that the school system can really address in their application, because they're things that are off their site, okay, because of where they're located or where this school is being located. So the roads around where they are really aren't developed. If you've been over there, there's not curbs and gutters. There's not anything like that. They're proposing to, curb and gutter their side. So the south side of Fisher Steel, the east side of Herbert, the north side of Moriarty, but they're not touching the other sides. Not touching the other sides of the street. They're not touching the intersections of Fisher Steel and Germantown Parkway. They're not touching the intersection of Moriarty and Germantown Parkway. So and I handed you, I apologize, you should have a packet with some presentations.
The flash drive is locked, so you'll have to enter a password to unlock it.
Okay.
Sorry.
I don't know what the password is. No one told me there was a password to that when that's okay. Thank you, though. So in the packet, they're passing them out now. Because there are a couple of things that I wanted you to look at in regard to this particular location. So the traffic around this is just a huge issue. If you'll look at the third slide in the presentation, it should look like this of what they just handed you. You can see again where the site is located here. And it's the traffic, around the location. Dr. Marty Lipinski has reviewed the traffic study that was prepared, and Dr. Lipinski's review shows that the school more than doubled the daily traffic count in this area. And if you've been down Germantown Parkway, it is not like a scenic little road with a couple of cars going down through it. This is probably the busiest street in the county, maybe one of the busiest streets in the state. And Dr. Lipinski's summary is also one of the documents that you have in your packet. That study shows the increased amount of traffic that's going in. So what the school, the location of the school, what it's going to do to this area is make what is already a horrible traffic situation much worse. According to the study, the traffic study that was commissioned for this, 10% of the kids that are coming to this high school will walk. And if you look at the map that's in the packet and even in the applicant package, most of the residential for this school is on the east side of Germantown Parkway. So again, we're assuming that the students that will be zoned to this school will be in this area. So you're talking about kids walking across Germantown Parkway to get to the school, which is a safety issue in our opinion. So it's already difficult to slow traffic down through that area as it is. People don't drive 45; they treat it as almost as an interstate going down Germantown Parkway. Or is there going to be a need for school zone traffic lights? Is there going to be a need for crossing guards at Trinity and Germantown Parkway to get the kids across? And now we're adding young drivers into the mix. So they're going to come into the location. And since there aren't any road improvements being made to these adjacent locations, the other side of the streets at Fisher Steel and Germantown Parkway, at Moriarty, you've got teenage drivers trying to avoid the traffic. And even if we go back to look at the presentation showing the traffic flow that they showed a moment ago, they've got the young drivers, the students are coming in on Moriarty, which again, they're not improving all of Moriarty. They're bringing them in on Moriarty. Moriarty is a right in, right out onto Germantown, that slide. If you go all the way to the right, you get to Germantown Parkway. Well, the top slide is where all the buses are coming in, where I assume, other traffic, parent traffic, maybe traffic for the staff. It's just a 2-lane road. So that road's going to be clogged, as we all who have kids know, they're going to take the route of least resistance. So if that's crowded, they're going to be turning left onto Moriarty. And we don't have there's not any accommodation for that issue. So we've got young drivers going down and trying to cross Germantown Parkway, the same when they leave. There's a thought that maybe they'll go out, and I don't know if this alternative route is approved to get back to Raleigh-LaGrange or Trinity. Obviously, that will be needed but I still don't think it eliminates the problems with the kids leaving Moriarty, going to Germantown Parkway, and thinking they can turn left onto that roadway. It's just, again, it's not safe for them.
Mr. Bennett,
excuse me.
You have about 3 minutes, 30 seconds, and you got 4 more people that need to speak. So I just want to bring that to your attention.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Let me rush through again a couple of things. So we've got real issues with traffic. If you look to page 5 of your packet that I've given you, that's the summary of the traffic report from Dr. Lipinski. All in red shows all the intersections that are failing in that area. The E's are failing too, but most of them are F's, the worst grade you can get, and E is also failing grade. If you look at page 6 of the graph, these are all the intersections that are affected. You're talking about Germantown Road and Walnut Grove, Trinity, Macon, and Germantown Road, Fisher, Steele. All of these intersections are failing in the level of service standard under the traffic study, as well as 3 roads on the backside at Mullen Station and Raleigh-LaGrange. All of these roads also are failing from the level of service, and the traffic study recommends roundabouts to try to alleviate the problem. Again, not the obligation of the school, but somebody's got to do it, I guess, under the traffic study. So these are huge issues. The safety issue, how are you going to get the kids that are crossing Germantown Parkway, the young drivers? But the last thing I want to address is actually the staff report itself. The staff, to be able to put the school here, you have to have a special use permit to locate the school here. And contrary to the staff's recommendation, the conditions for a special use permit just aren't met based upon what I've mentioned. If you look at page 16 of their report, 4.10.2 says that this body may approve upon proper application.
The opposition has 1 minute, 30 seconds remaining.
Thank you. And it lists the criteria. These criteria weren't shown in any of the applications. 4.10.3 talks about the proposed development will not unduly injure or damage the use and value and enjoyment of surrounding property and or hinder or prevent the development of surrounding property in accordance with the current development policies. And it won't affect the land uses. Again, that's shown that it is. And then lastly, 9.6.9 on page 18, that's the special use permit. And you have to show that the project will not have a substantial undue adverse effect upon adjacent property, the character of the neighborhood, traffic conditions, parking, utilities, and other matters affecting the public health and safety. This clearly does. We got safety issues, we got huge traffic issues, and all these things are going to affect the businesses that are already there. You're going to hear from some of these folks as to how this is going to affect them, but we don't believe the conditions necessary to grant a special use permit have been achieved. We think it's an absolutely phenomenal plan. It's just going to create havoc in the area where they're wanting to put this. There may be another area, but this particular location is just going to create a lot of havoc for everybody, particularly kids. We don't want to see anybody hurt because of the fact that they can't get in and out of this location. Thank you.
Okay, the remaining 4 people don't have but about 15 seconds apiece.
Good morning, I'm Ernie Norcross, 7910 Trinity Road. I'm not sure I can do anything in 15 seconds, but I own the 2 dealerships that it will back up to, and please be aware that your decision is gonna affect our livelihood, because you can't tell me kids don't go where they're supposed to go anyway, and they're gonna try to cut through my dealership, and which is gonna cause safety and concerns, and it affects the quality of life for our 65 employees. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we'll give you 30 more seconds.
Thank you. I'm Dan McClary.
I'm the owner and founder and producing artistic director of Tennessee Shakespeare Company, located at 7950 Trinity Road, which is at the southeast corner of this proposed property. This proposal to allow this special permit will put us out of business. We're a 501c3 charitable organization. We're the first and only classical Shakespeare theater in the city of Memphis, the only one that's resident in the state of Tennessee. And we cannot compete with the public address system with these multiple athletic fields that are outside within 150, 250 feet of us. We have tried. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we'll just have 30 seconds.
Hello, my name is Chris Crabtree. I'm the owner of Memphis Pride All-Stars. We are also a 501(c)(3). That's 7790 Fisher Steel. My biggest concerns are the same as these others are talking about, is the traffic. We already have about 1,000 kids coming down that road at the same exact time the school would be getting out. Our practice times start from 3:30 and they go all the way till 9:30. And I'm kind of concerned. They said they're going to host these big, large events. There's only 960 parking spots. There's 150 staff, not counting the people that have to work the events. Where's everyone else going to park during these events? They also said when they're going to build these roads, they're going to close Fisher Steel to do this completion. How am I supposed to run my business? The business behind me that's traveling with dangerous chemicals to and from every day. If there's a wreck with dangerous chemicals, that's going to shut everybody down. And I still am kind of confused and concerned about on their deed that said that it's not buildable because of the dangerous chemicals and things like that in the ground still has not been addressed. I've asked multiple times for the closing documents for the sale agreement. When I bought my facility, was told this would always be a kid entertainment environment. And I want to know how this is going to better that for us. And they took our parking lots and they're adding more apartments in there. That's also going to, I have the plans for them. And I want to know how that's going to affect the parking as well. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, your time is up.
Thank you. Thank
okay,
you.
Thank you. All right, we're ready for rebuttal, and you don't have very many minutes left for rebuttal. I think you had 2 minutes and 30 seconds for rebuttal.
Added on to our rebuttal time that we provided.
The 3 minutes? Yeah, okay.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'll go through each of these items individually as quickly as I can. Hopefully I won't take the time that you guys have provided me. But before we get into it, I still want to underscore the fact that the city engineer, transportation engineering department, the Office of Comprehensive Planning has reviewed this, and everyone has recommended approval of this. So that the specifics regarding the traffic, this is a vacant site currently today. Of course, traffic will be increased. We acknowledge that. But Patrick Neal, who prepared the transportation engineer, is in the audience today, and I believe representatives from the city of Memphis are in the audience today as well. The statement pertaining to heavy industrial environment, this zoning predates 1960. It's a post-war zoning when Cordova was expanding with concrete plants. I would like to note that Shelby Farms is owned heavy industrial. Are we to say that Shelby Farms shouldn't be operated because of a historical zoning designation? No. Again, the comprehensive land use plan supports this use. The small area plan, the Fisher Steel small area plan supports this use, supports zoning that would allow the school by right. That was adopted by the Memphis City Council in 2009. So the use is not debatable here. With regard to the staff report and the various criteria, I'd like to point to page 16 staff report. Each of those criteria cited by Mr. Bennett, staff agrees the applicable standards and criteria have been met. In each one of those bullet points, staff says that criteria has been met. Mr. Norcross, concerned about the livelihood. I can't, that's speculation. I really can't address that. I respect it. As Mr. Bennett said, we've had some very good collaboration with the landowners, and it's been great conversation. There's been no disrespect for either party. Same with the Shakespeare. We have an acoustic consultant on our team that analyzes these things and will study those. And if the study determines that noises are elevated beyond the existing standard, there'll be things the measures taking place with the construction of the school to mitigate those concerns. The gentleman from the All-Stars, again, traffic increase. We're improving the streets in accordance with city engineering. Again, they have not made any additional recommendations. Large events. This site was previously approved for game day. An expansion of a game day facility was specifically designed to accommodate tournament ball. So
this is a less impactful use than that. That facility, I believe, had over 1,200 parking spaces as well. So when you compare traffic, one can easily discern that that was a more intense use. Closing Fisher Still Road, traffic engineering will require the city streets remain operable during construction. Environmental, we have completed phase 1 environmental, phase 2 environmental, and TDEC has issued a no additional action letter saying that there are no issues on site regarding environmental. I can distribute that copy to you after I'm done for the record. And I can't address the closing documents. I'm not involved in that. I don't think it's appropriate to do so. I'm not sure what the concerns there with the closing documents. That's between the buyers and the individual, but we have the Shelby County Schools has a legitimate purchase sale agreement for the property. So that being said, I still would like to answer any questions you guys have. I ran through that a lot out of respect for everyone here, and I will pass out, once I sit down or conclude, I'll pass out that no additional action letter from TDEC, excuse me.
Thank you.
Y'all have any questions for me?
Do you have any questions of the applicant at this time?
Yes, sir. Love what you guys are doing. Product of Memphis City Schools myself. Glad to see something coming online that's worthy and up to modern day standards with the programs that you guys are offering. Definitely excited about that as well. One of the maybe a couple of things, but one of the major things that I saw in the development, understanding that area and understanding the impact that it would make traffic-wise, is there a plan to expand those streets maybe? Yes. Because now it's just it's a come and go on either side of, Fisher Steel as well as Mortuary. Mortar. But those streets are come and go. What is the plan to expand it all the way up to Germantown Parkway? I know in the development world, it is a little complicated to develop someone else's frontage. However, in this case, being the impact is so high, is there a plan to go ahead and improve that? Because it will bottleneck if it is not improved.
Yes, sir. So a couple of things. Right now, as you guys are very well aware, Germantown Parkway is being improved and to increase efficiency on the north and south line. The city engineers representative can speak more to those improvements that are taking place today, regardless of this school. Secondly, as Michael Winter stated, that we are extending Herbert down to Raleigh-LaGrange Road. That road will be constructed concurrent with this school. So that will provide a third point of access, and it's really one of our primary points of access. Moriarty is a right in, right out, and that presents challenges. Individuals will access it through the restricted turn movement, but the lights and the movement of traffic will be redirected to Herbert Road once it's constructed from Raleigh-LaGrange North to Moriarty onto Fisher Still Road. Lastly, the engineers reviewed everything, as I said before. I don't mean to be repetitive, but at the next phase of this, there will be further analysis of engineering, and if there is determined at that time additional improvements need to be made, the city engineer will make those recommendations. Again, Patrick Neal is here if you have specific questions. He prepared the traffic study, and I believe Mike Prifty is here from the city engineer if you have more questions. But the answer to your question is yes, additional improvements are being made.
Okay. All the way up to Germantown Parkway, like the entire road, not just the portion of what you guys own on either side, but all the way up. Like I said,
to the extent the city engineer requires of us is the answer to that. So whatever the city engineer tells us we're going to do, we'll have to do based on the traffic. But all that is in consideration moving forward. We're at the infancy level, we're at the zoning, the entitlement stage of this.
Sure.
The next phase is the details. And traffic is of the utmost importance to us. We need to get traffic in and out of there as efficiently as possible. It's the most important thing to the city of Memphis in a lot of ways along that corridor, so we're aware of it. And that will be taken into account once the detailed studies or engineering starts taking place. The short answer is yes, those considerations are involved. We're moving forward. This is phase 1, phase 2, phase 3 will be involved. Yeah, I hope that adequately answers your question.
Yeah, it does, but what I want to see and what you gave me, I mean, you answered it, but I want to see more, but that's just me, right?
When we come back with the site plans, those details will be hashed out. But we intend to improve a whole other lane of traffic from Fisher Still, Moriarty. Thank you for your comments.
Yes, sir.
We had another question here.
Yes, that was the opposition mentioned one thing that caught my attention. One of them you already addressed. So there were two things. the safety of the kids, I heard someone say, I think I did, that children will have to walk across Germantown Parkway. Is that true?
Well, the answer immediately is kids may or may not cross. Wherever they live, they can cross, but improvements are being made to Germantown Parkway to increase the safety of those pedestrian crosswalks. Again, prior to the school even being constructed. That's a component of the construction that's underway today. And again, the representative of city engineering can probably speak to it in more detail. My knowledge is limited. But yes, so kids will have to be, the kids that do cross there, improvements are being made to Germantown Parkway to make that crossing safer. And there are regulatory crossings as well.
And so I would assume, and maybe the school system will have to answer this, when I'm driving down busy streets now during school, I see police officers and they have people there to assist children with crossing streets. Would the same thing be there, I would assume?
Okay, great. So yes, the first question that you had in terms of the students crossing Germantown Parkway. So one of the things I have, of course, Stephen Weir, who's our Director of Transportation. Anytime there's a school, they do a complete analysis of the safety hazards of a student. And so regardless of the proximity of the student's residence, if it may necessitate us providing transportation, they're prepared to do that. But I don't know if you want to expand upon how we go about identifying the risk and being able to support the students.
Just to add to that, normally we send our safety specialists out to do analysis of any area that may deem be hazard or unsafe for students. So what we do in that case, we provide transportation for those students to and from school.
Okay, thank you. Are there any questions now of the opposition? Does the board member have any questions of the opposition? Any questions for the opposition? Okay, hearing none, we're going to close the public portion of the meeting. Dr. Pritchard.
Move approval of agenda item number 6, PD 2024-007. Second.
Okay, we have a motion. We have a second. Is there any discussion amongst our board members? Any further discussion?
Yes, is there a way that we may be able to add into the plans for this development that we can, don't mean to push this on Memphis City Schools, but to develop the road all the way up on both lanes that have entry access points to it? Is there a way that we can add some type of notes into it, or?
That would have to be Mr. Ragsdale and the staff member. What's the answer?
We could add a condition. I think, city engineering will be reviewing it and making determinations. So I guess we do typically leave that to their review and decision. But if you wanted to add that condition, we could certainly do that.
Yeah, I would like to propose to add it, if anyone was second.
Well, how would you state it so that we could make it an amendment?
That fails because he couldn't figure out what he wanted to say.
Yeah, I guess
I mean, it would just be a complete development of the road, widening of the road on both entry points on Fisher Steel and Moriarty. I'm no attorney now. I didn't say that.
Yeah, you want to add it, so we got to have it added right.
Yeah, I understand.
Correctly.
Why don't we let Mr. Ragsdale work on that as it goes forward?
I think that's wise. I mean, it's been duly noted your concern. We have city engineering, I assume, represented in this room, and they're hearing what you're asking for. But I don't know if I want to put that burden on the school system to widen our city and county roads. I mean, they may be okay with it. I think they hear the concern, and if it's a requirement for city engineering, it will be they would have to do it anyway.
Well, you also may not have the right of way, right? So widening the road takes right of way, takes property from property owners. So it's a little more complicated of a process than just improving a right-of-way or widening a road.
Yeah, that's correct. And that's one of the reasons we typically do leave it to city engineering to have a full review and make those determinations. If you would like to make the motion, it sounds like there may not be support for that, but we could.
Yeah, let's call it, add approximately 1.5 miles of road improvements.
Okay, and so that's a motion. Do we have a second? Okay, with no second, then we can move forward with the vote or any other discussion.
Okay, any further discussion?
I just want to echo Mr. Thomas's sentiments from earlier. I'm really excited about this particular project simply because, as was stated, we have not had a new high school for our now Memphis Shelby County School District students, and just the plan and the intentionality around the plan to offer better opportunities for our students gets me really excited. I am a Cordova resident. Yes, I understand the Germantown Parkway traffic woes, but that would not move me to oppose this particular project.
Okay, any further discussion? Mr. Thomas? No further? Okay, hearing none, I assume we're ready to vote, and will that be an individual vote?
Yes, Madam Chair, I can do that. Mr. Thomas?
Yes.
Mr. Tolles?
Yes.
Mr. Kill?
Yes.
Mr. McKinnon?
Yes.
Dr. Pritchard?
Yes.
Ms. Wilbanks?
Yes.
Vice Chair Lyles Wallace?
Yes.
And Chair Sharp?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Motion carries. Thank you. Okay, and if you would quietly leave, we're going to have another case right behind you. Thank you.
Now, are we on number 8 now?
Yes. No, 8, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, 8.
We'll continue with agenda item number 8, MJR 2024-033 Parkway Village. This is a major modification to the Delta Square PD to approve a revised site plan located at 5,000 American Way. Staff recommends approval with conditions.
Okay, if we would have the applicant come forward, give us your name and address. We will have, do we need a presentation by the staff or?
Well, Madam Chair, I was going to mention there is an opposition here. However, I think that the applicant and the opposition have discussed a compromise on the concern. Mm-hmm. So I think what we would do, we don't necessarily need the presentation. We can hear from the applicant and then from the opposition and see if that is resolved. And if we need a presentation, we could do that.
Okay, thank you. So we want the applicant give us your name and address, and then we'll hear from the opposition.
Cindy Reeves, SR Consulting, 5909 Shelby Oaks Drive, Suite 200. Thank you so much for listening to us today. We did meet prior to our meeting out in the hall, and what we have agreed to on condition 1A1, where you have the bold underline and shipping container storage, we've added a maximum of 6 containers high. So, and I think that will represent a compromise to the issues that the opposition had.
Okay, thank you. We're ready to hear opposition. Give us your name and address and your concern.
Charles Belenky, 995 Eccles Street. Yes, with that additional condition, I would like to withdraw my opposition.
Okay, thank you. All right, thank you. Are there any questions of the applicant and or opposition?
Yes, again, comments. I remember this case coming before us, and that intersection still has not changed. I don't see why we would. I think that's where that old Drones College and all is. Am I looking at the wrong one? This is not at Brooks Road and.
No, sir. This is at American Way and Mount Moriah. This is where the old Walmart was behind.
Okay,
Chuck Hutton.
I'm looking at the wrong thing.
Yeah, and I apologize, Mr. Thomas. We didn't have a staff report for that, so.
I was very confused.
All right. Yeah.
We feel this is a very good use.
All right.
Okay.
Are you ready for a motion?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Move approval of agenda item number 8, MJR 2024-033.
Second.
We have,
And Dr. Fincher, we can add as amended.
Yes.
as amended. Okay. Now, do we have any further discussion on this case? Did I ever move to close the public portion of the meeting? No, I did not. Okay, I'm gonna close the public portion.
We've got a motion.
We've got a motion, and so we want to be 100% correct. All right, we have the motion, the second. Any discussion? Any discussion? Hearing none, I assume we're ready to vote. All in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed, nay. Motion carries on number 8. Thank you.
Ms.
We're now
Thompson
ready
on the
for
roll,
number.
ain't you?
Pardon?
We're ready for number 12.
We're ready for number 12. Go ahead, Dr. Pritchard.
All right. Agenda item number 12, SUP 2024-019, Whitehaven. Special use permit to allow a convenience store with gas pumps located at 3230 Commercial Parkway. Staff recommends rejection.
Okay, we have the applicant here. Give us your name and address one more time, and then we'll hear the case. And
David Bray with Bray Firm, 2950 Stage Plaza North.
thank you. Is there any opposition to number 12? Any opposition? Hearing none, we're ready to hear the case.
I'm Alexis Longstreet with DPD. I'll be presenting on special use permit 2024-019. This is a request to allow a convenience store with the gas pumps in the Whitehaven neighborhood. 28 notices were mailed out, and as mentioned earlier, there was no opposition to this case. As you all can see here, the subject property is split zone commercial mixed use 1 as well as residential 15. The northwest portion of this lot was not purposefully zoned residential 15, so there is a correspondent zoning request as well that staff is recommending approval of. The designated land use for this property is parking with surrounding uses of industrial, some other commercial uses, and institutional uses. As you all can see here, this is a subject property view. The photo from Elvis Presley is the most recent, as the photo view of the subject property from Commercial Parkway includes the previous structure that was located in front of the existing warehouse. That warehouse will still be existing with the proposed gas convenience store with gas sales. This is a site plan here, as noted earlier, that this is a convenience store with gas pumps. This is also a 2-story convenience store being proposed. As you all may not be able to see here from the view of Elvis Presley, the Whitehaven, basically the welcome sign that is on the corner of Elvis Presley and Brooks is here. And they will basically be proposing that in this area, which is not too far behind. So this proposal was deemed inconsistent with Memphis 3.0, as the proposal is higher intensity, as this property is future land use designated for low commercial proposals. So a few of those conclusions. The applicant is requesting a standalone convenience store with gas sales and a 2-story structure with an outdoor dining area. It is split zone, as I mentioned earlier, with a corresponding zoning case. In May 2019, a variance for this same property was approved and granted by the Board of Adjustments to allow an established warehouse to continue to operate at the same location. And then also in May 2019, a special use permit was recommended for rejection for a similar proposal with a convenience store with gasoline sales at the intersection of an arterial street and a local street. And it was then withdrawn by the applicant. Staff is recommending rejection. However, if it is approved, we are recommending these 9 conditions, the 9th being the standard. Future modifications of the site plan will have to come back forward for re-recording. And so some of these conditions, as I will list them off as they're listed on the presentation, 1 being canopy lighting shall not extend beyond the area beneath the canopy, and all fixtures shall be recessed, including any to be submitted for review during the final plat review process. A minimum of 3 level 3 fast charging stations shall be installed, and then the fuel canopy shall be architecturally keeping with the convenience store, and be no more than 20 feet in height. The applicants did send over a general rendering at the beginning of this meeting, but I wasn't able to alter the staff presentation as I received it during the beginning of this hearing. This does conclude my presentation.
Thank you. Do we have any questions of Ms. Longstreet? Hearing none, we're ready for the applicant to make your presentation.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. Is there any way that you can pull that picture up that we sent to you? I thought that you already had it in the staff report. Is there any way you can get that on the screen? Because this is not your typical convenience store. I know you guys are surprised to hear me stand up and say that. All right, while we wait for that, I'll give you guys a little bit of the history on this. As mentioned in the staff report, there was an application in front of you in 2019. I think some of you were still on the board at that time. And ultimately that was withdrawn. But that was using the portion of the building that actually shows in that street view from Commercial Parkway that was there at that time. So if you look at an aerial now, you see where the existing warehouse used to extend farther to the west, and that was going to utilize that portion. We had the canopy much closer to the road, and we had a drive access to Elvis Presley. So we had a lot of objection to doing that plan. Before we started this time, the applicants who are here today, we had a meeting out on the site with Councilwoman Walker and said, well, what would you want to see in this location? And here we go. That's the rendering of what we want to do at that location. You can see if you flip back and forth between that and the site plan that's in your staff report, a portion of the building is listed as 2-story. So the portion closest to the road will be 2-story. That will be a restaurant on the second level. We'll have outdoor seating outside. We tie that into the area by the Whitehaven sign with walking trail and some additional landscaping to bring that all in together. What you've got here is, as you guys know, most of the tourists that come into Memphis come to Graceland at some point or another. And most of those tourists that go to Graceland are going to go through this intersection as a part of their visit here. You've got no gas stations along that area with the EV charging stations. You've got the hotel at Graceland now. I believe they have 5, but they are for use of the guest at the hotel. I think the Hilton product across the street has 2 or possibly 3, but they are also for the use. But as more and more people are traveling with electric vehicles, you don't have a place for that to be done. And the typical gas station is not necessarily where you want to hang out for 30 minutes to an hour and 15 minutes to charge your vehicle. So that was why we looked at the coffee shop and restaurant and a nice gateway into the area. So that's what we've done here. There was a study at one of our neighborhood meetings talking about the fact that the need for gas stations will go away by 2035. I think that's a little bit optimistic. I don't think it's happening that fast. But we do have to start planning for that. As you're on the road, you see more and more of the electric vehicles. They have to have a place to charge. They have to have a place to hang out for a few minutes while that charging is taking place. And that's what we're trying to address here. So that's what we've done with this. We want an area that'll be a nice gateway. I wish the staff report had actually included a street shot of the, I believe it's Marathon Flag, just to the north of this, on the other side of Brooks, Elvis Presley and Brooks, so that I could give you a side-by-side comparison of, do you want to stop here and get a cup of coffee and charge your vehicle or get gas, or do you want to stop at that marathon? It's an eyesore. It is precisely what everybody complains about with convenience stores and what they bring. That is not what we are trying to bring here. The owners that are here today, and they'll speak if they want to, they own the warehouse right there. The warehouse actually serves convenience stores. They help stock them. This is compatible with their use there. This gives them a front door and some visibility. I've got other folks that want to speak, but I'm happy to answer any questions that you guys have about what we've got here.
Give us your name and address and your statement.
Yes, absolutely. Aaron K. Robinson, address is 254 Court Avenue, Suite 100, Memphis, Tennessee, 38103. So to give an introduction about myself, I am a project manager in construction and housing, and so I was brought in to assist on this project. Think of it as a joint venture, if you will. So I just wanted to say that looking at this project, at the area from an aesthetics point of view, that is a very nasty entrance, and I think the signs and the billboards have been vandalized. And so even as a visitor coming into the city of Memphis, and the Visitors Bureau is right across the street, that is not a good look and it's not attractive, especially if you are trying to attract my generation to come and move into the city, especially Whitehaven, and also in addition to new business owners that are willing to relocate to Memphis. And so the growing trend that you guys should be seeing is that a lot of people with the financial capacity to rebuild certain lots own these parcels and these land. And so, you know, as owners, they have their rights and their privileges to do what they wish with their land. Some of it, because of what they want to do, may require SUPs, and that's okay. But, you know, I have not run across that many individuals who own land and have the financial capacity to change it and make it better. And so rejecting this application is not going to do that area or that community any good, because it's going to stay blighted. And so the city of Memphis can only do so much when it comes to blight remediation. As private business owners, we want to do our part to make the city of Memphis a better place, make sure that it is very hospitable, and providing the EV charging stations. As a matter of fact, I think we're going to try to do 4, will be a nice addition to this project and to the community. And getting back to my point, we are definitely wanting to do what we can, but you know, when you guys constantly reject applications, the blighted properties still look the same, and the city of Memphis does not move forward. It stays stagnant. And so those are my comments about this project. And if you have any questions, I'm willing to answer them as well.
Have any questions of the applicant at this time?
Yes, I do, several. So I was here when this came before, and you said it was and my comments are to the team, and I'm trying to, and it mainly dealt with the traffic. And my concern still is if I'm going south, if I turn off of Brooks Road and I go south on Elvis Presley there, how will I get into this facility?
The existing intersection at Commercial, so you would turn onto Commercial and then access. And that was one of the objections that we had before, is that we had a drive apron to Elvis Presley, and you had such a small amount of distance between Commercial and Brooks the city engineer was not comfortable with it. We understood what their concern was. So, and actually, if you scroll down a little bit on the site plan, you can see there's an existing drive apron, and when the front part of that building was used, you can see the lighter lines. There's an existing drive apron off of Commercial. So if you're familiar with the intersection and you turn off of Commercial, there's a median there. And right at the east end of the median, there's an existing driveway and an existing little parking lot right there where she had her cursor a second ago. So we would upgrade that apron to a full movement apron and get rid of that parking area, and then you would have the drive area through.
All right, if I'm and I'm going somewhere with this. I know the entire area. My PO box is Commercial. There's a post office there, and everyone has to drive down there. If I'm driving north on Everest Presley approaching Brooks, under no circumstances can I turn right into this property. Correct.
Correct. You would have to turn on Commercial if it is.
Thank you. Now, you don't think is Commercial Parkway getting to be widened there, or will a light be put there? And my thing is that is a high traffic area, intersection right there, and 100% of that traffic has to come down Commercial Parkway to do that. There is no light right there. No. And I have seen problems there because me or someone from my staff goes to that PO box every day. And and it's a beautiful facility. I commend you on that. This is much better than what I saw last time. It's awesome. But getting to it is a serious problem. And I just cannot see. I understand why staff, I don't know all their reasons for rejecting it, but it has to be one of these to require all the traffic to go down that is basically a two-way street. You know, a lane going east, one going west, basically. How do you handle that much traffic on a small road like that when all of it has to go there? People are coming to get their cars charged, refuel. You say they're coming to eat there in that two-story building. Man, that is a lot of traffic.
We talked about that. We believe that the road at the existing right-of-way that it is, and as you're aware, because you go down it every day, that road takes 18-wheelers delivering to the businesses on Commercial. So it's plenty wide. We do lose the convenience of your typical convenience store and the ability to make that last-minute right-hand turn into it. If you don't know where you're going, then you're not going to stop at this store. You're going to be going to the Marathon on the north side because you're going to miss the intersection at Commercial. So, but we believe that we will have enough of a customer base that will be destination-oriented. That once they know the process of getting in there, that they'll be willing to make that turn and come into it.
And you don't think those traveling south, and maybe city engineering has to answer this, that's not a long strip from Brooks Road to that turning slot.
No.
And you don't think that will cause backup for everyone having to get in that lane to be able to turn left if you're going south onto Commercial Parkway? I know now that you don't have that there, and I have to sit in that turning lane. That is a horrible intersection. And to have something this beautiful there, that I believe people will want to come to, but we are not. We will have accidents there with people turning. That is a highly traveled area on a daily basis with nothing there right now. And when you add that, I just cannot see how you can prevent traffic being backed up all the way to Brooks Road. It'll be like what's the Chick-fil-A's.
Well, I would hope that we would have that much traffic, but I don't think that we're talking about a level of traffic that would back it up into Brooks Road.
I do, because it's there now. We could go there right now, and you have to wait, and then you have to, if you're turning from, if you're going east on Brooks, you got to contend with the traffic. If they have a green light that's coming, because people can turn right there, just stop and go. Man, that is a high speed and a high volume intersection. And for that reason, that's just a bad location to have this. I would not oppose this being at some point on Everett Presley, but where it's located is horrible for traffic. And I'm no traffic expert. I just know what I see there, and I've almost been hit because I have to navigate to get over to that left lane to turn on Commercial Parkway. Now, there's a light further up. I think there's a Truist Bank there where you can turn left, and people have to circle all the way around through that area.
I understand your concerns, as was stated in one of the previous applications that was up here today. When we get to the administrative site plan review with city engineering, they will require a traffic impact statement, and if warranted, based on that traffic impact statement, they'll require a traffic study. So there may be some additional improvements that are necessary for them to approve this. But right now, we're still in the special use permit stage, and so we haven't gone that far into the investigation.
Okay.
Well, I mean, and they are recommending rejection. I think that has to be one of the reasons, and I just don't see how you can fix this unless there's a widening of that road or a traffic light being put there. That is horrible that we got to trust people to be able to just use their judgment. Okay, it's okay to turn right now. It's high traffic. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Any further questions from the board? Okay, hearing none, I'm going to close the public portion of this meeting. Dr. Pritchard.
Move approval of agenda item number 12, SUP 2024-019, Whitehaven.
Second.
We have a motion. We have a second. Board members,
Madam
any
Chair,
discussion?
I did want to mention one thing. Since this rendering is not included in the conditions or the report right now, I would like to offer, if the board would so approve, to add a condition number 10 to state a minimum of 50% of the floor area shall be a minimum of 2 stories, so that we can capture the intent of this image before it goes to council.
We're in agreement with that.
Okay.
All right. Okay.
So we'll add that as number 10.
If we could get a motion to add it without objection.
I so move that we amend the motion to add this condition 10.
Okay, we will go ahead and add that amendment. Now we're back to the original motion. Is there any further discussion? No,
I would just add that I think as a board, we have to look at what we're doing as well with the developments that are coming before us and really understand the impact of those developments, but also understand where does that trajectory take us as a community, as a whole, as a city, for approval or not approval. How does that actually impact a specific area, not with just this, but with all of the developments that we're seeing come before us. I think we have to think about the future once we are all gone from Earth, and what kind of impact these buildings are going to last way longer than all of us. So I would just challenge all of us to kind of think, for the future of use of whatever property it is, and for myself, I think highest and best use. And in some cases, it may not identify that well with a highest and best use, what may be proposed. But I think in certain situations, if we're able to target that and understand when it does identify, make the right decision. And with that being said, I am for this project. I don't see anything else coming up or being able to improve Elvis Presley more than that building that's already sitting on that plot of land.
Okay, thank you. Okay, we are going to, if there's no further discussion, then I assume that we're ready to vote. You already called it out. Okay. So we're going to vote individually?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Mr. Tolles?
No.
Mr. Thomas?
No.
Mr. Fleming?
No.
Mr. Gill?
No.
Mr. McKinnon?
Yes.
Dr. Pritchard?
No.
Ms. Wilbanks?
No.
Vice Chair Lyles Wallace? And Chair Sharp?
No.
Motion fails.
Motion fails. Sorry.
Madam Chair, I think the last agenda item is number 14.
Right.
SUP 2024-021CO, unincorporated Shelby County, a special use permit to allow dog boarding located at 10122 Moose Road. Staff recommendation is approval with conditions.
Thank you, Dr. Pritchard. We're ready for the applicant to come up, introduce yourself, give us your name and address, and then we'll have a presentation. And there is opposition on this one, so we will hear the case.
It's Tim McCaskill, the Reese Firm, 6800 Poplar Avenue.
Thank you. Okay, staff, we're ready for your presentation.
Hello again, I'm Chloe Christian, a staff planner with DPD, and I'll be presenting this case number SUP 2024-021CO. The applicants are Nicole and Keith Moffitt, and representation is present as well. The location is 10122 Moose Road, and the request is a special use permit to allow dog boarding. Here is a location map and vicinity map of the subject property. It's located in Millington, and 24 notices were mailed on June 11th. Here is a zoning map of the property. It's in the Conservation Agriculture District, and it is surrounded by predominantly single-family residential uses. Here are some photos of the site from Moose Road, a photo of the entire site, and then the entrance. It is gated. And here's a magnified view of the southeast corner of the subject property. You can see that there is an existing single-family home as well as a storage shed and some horse stables. Here's the survey that was submitted with the application. And here is the proposed site plan that was submitted. The only proposed modifications would be to that storage shed in the rear, and I have a magnified view of that here as well. There is going to be two 12 by 60 foot additions to either side of that building, as well as a chain link fence area with privacy screening for outdoor play. Here is a floor plan of that proposed modification. There are 12 dog kennels, as well as the privacy screening area, like I stated. There would also be a half bath and washer dryer for grooming services. So in conclusion, per the UDC, animal boarding is not allowed by right and only permitted in this district with the approval of a special use permit. As the site is approximately 22 acres, it is considerably large and surrounded by majority single-family residential uses that are also quite large in size. In order to cause minimal disruption to the residential nation of the area, staff is recommending some modifications to the plan to control sound, waste, and limit traffic to the site. And staff will be recommending that a maximum of 12 dogs would be allowed to board only, and no additional services beyond animal boarding would be allowed on the site. All boarding services, daily exercise, outdoor play, and drop-off would be limited to the climate-controlled play area, proposed kennel addition, and fenced area, and no outdoor runs would be permitted, and dogs would be required to be supervised while outside in the fenced area. Staff is also requesting additional landscaping buffer and soundproofing to be installed, and outdoor group play hours would be limited as well. And the granting of this special use permit would not cause substantial detriment to the public good, nor will it substantially impair the intent and purpose of an adopted plan or the UDC, nor be injurious to the neighborhood and the general welfare, and it will be in harmony with the purpose and intent of the UDC. So staff is recommending approval with conditions. They're going to be on page 25 of the staff report. Condition number 1, a maximum of 12 dogs, including the applicant's dogs, are permitted on site for animal boarding. No doggy daycare or daily drops are permitted. A landscaping buffer with a 6-foot to 9-foot masonry wall and evergreen trees and shrubs shall be installed along the rear northwest edges of the climate-controlled dog kennel. A landscape plan shall be submitted for administrative review and approval by DPD. The existing horse stables may only be used for the applicant's horses and may not be used for boarding purposes. The applicant shall submit a cleaning schedule and provide proof of professional waste management service prior to beginning operations. The location of all dumpster and trash receptacles for the boarding service shall be shown on the final site plan and screened from view. A soundproofing system shall be installed in the proposed dog kennel. And any change in ownership and or change in occupancy through the rental of the property shall require the filing of a correspondence item to be heard by this board as well. Outdoor group play shall be limited to the hours of 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. on Monday through Friday and 9 to 6 on Saturday and Sunday. And no outdoor run shall be permitted. All outdoor play shall take place in the fenced area and shall be supervised. And that concludes my report, but I'm more than happy to answer any questions. Thank you.
Any further questions of the staff at this time? Okay, we're ready for a presentation from the applicant.
We are in agreement with the staff's recommendations, except for one of the conditions, number 2. They're asking for a concrete wall along 2 sides of this kennel, and actually those 2 sides are already solid wood walls. There's no openings for the dogs on the north or east side. So we're basically doing that with the building, and it seems overkill to put a concrete block wall out there in the middle of nowhere. The only play area is on the south side of the building, so there's no exposure to the dogs being outside to the north and the east. Like I said, this is dog boarding only, no daycare, no grooming, there's no daily traffic of people bringing and picking up their dogs every day. It's back way away from both streets. The property to the north of it, they raise cattle on that property. So we're really in the kind of the middle of nowhere. And if you look on page 8 of the staff report, you can see that to the north of us is solid woods. So we would be screening ourselves from the wooded area next door. So anyway, we're in agreement with the conditions, and I'd like to reserve the rest of my time for a rebuttal.
Thank you very much. Any questions? Okay, we're ready for the opposition. We have 2 cards for the opposition. Just one at a time, and give us your name and address. You're together? Okay.
Shirley Billington.
And Melvin Billington. We live at 8975 Deadfall Road, Millington, Tennessee.
And we're opposing this. I heard they said that we're in the middle of nowhere. But when you look at the plans, the facility that they're putting there is 500 feet from our house. Right, it's right at our backyard. It's 1,600 feet from their house. So it is not in the middle of nowhere. It's right at our backyard. We are a residential community. We moved to that part of Shelby County for a certain reason, for the seclusion, the quietness, and the peace that it gives us. When you go south of our house, on the opposite side of the road, 3 houses up, there is a deadfall retriever there, which already have dogs that constantly bark all day and all night, and you can hear that inside our home. So bringing another dog and boarding facility is going to increase the noise level in our home, where we're not going to be able to enjoy the lands that we have. We're not going to be able to sit on our patio without hearing the dogs bark. I don't want to, and I expressed this to them, I don't want to see the dogs, I don't want to hear the dogs, and I don't want to smell the dogs. I don't have an issue with anybody doing anything with their property, but I don't think that what you do on your property should affect my quality of life. And that's the reason why I'm opposing to it, simply because of the noise level and the fact that it is so close to my home, to our home.
Thank you. Anything else you have to say, Mr.?
Yes, the concrete wall that was stated, that would help some. Like I say, we're not telling anyone what they can do with their property, but we want to try to keep our peace as well. I don't sleep well at night, and it's really kind of tough. You know, we hear dogs down the street all the time, and we just like to ask the board to consider, us as well. Thank you.
Thank you. And we have one more.
Yes, I put it. Give me one.
My name is Robert Hendricks. I reside at 8850 Deadfall Road. I oppose this for many reasons. One, there is deadfall retrievers. They're currently to my south side. They have, yesterday, 23 dogs. Outside pens, absolutely zero noise abatement. They are, I believe it's 325 feet from my kitchen window. So it's not a lie, we hear dogs 24/7. The other issues that I have is we have 24 notices were sent out, have 12 objections, 50%. Now, there are 4 that were supporting it, but that's 50% of the people within 2,500 feet. I do not think the block wall will help at all. My property is located right there in the blue. From my front porch to their building would be 1,200 foot. 1,200 foot don't seem like a whole lot, but if you can scroll down to the next one, that's my front porch. That's the building where the dog kennel go. 1,200 foot uphill. So an 8-foot fence, 10-foot fence, 12-foot fence, I don't think it's going to do any good. I am due south. So anything on the north side won't help. Anything on the south side would have to be so tall to be effective. I just don't see how it would work. So that's all I got. Let's get questions.
Okay. Thank you. Do we have any questions of the opposition and or the applicant? Okay, thank you. Okay, the applicant has rebuttal time.
1,200 feet doesn't sound that far, but it's actually a quarter of a mile. It's pretty far away. In the letters of opposition, there were 12, but 5 of them were from the same house. So that we got one from the mother, the husband, the wife's mother, and the 11-year-old son. And then they wrote one together. So it's more like 7 letters of opposition. They keep talking about the deadfall kennels. We don't have anything to do with the retrievers. We don't have anything to do with that. I don't even think they have a permit to be doing that, a special use permit. The Moffats are doing this correctly. They're coming here and they're conditioning their kennels and putting rules on themselves by limiting it to 12 dogs, by having mostly climate-controlled kennels, small play area, there's no dog runs. They're doing everything they can to limit what they're doing and make it acceptable. And I think that's what that's the conclusion we ought to come to.
Thank you. Any further questions of anybody, applicant and or opposition? Okay, hearing none, I'm going to close the public portion of this meeting. Dr. Pritchard.
Move approval of agenda item number 14, SUP 2024-021CO.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion, we have a second. Is there any discussion? Is there any discussion? Okay, hearing none.
What about the condition 2?
Madam Chair, as it pertains to the condition, I would, if I'm going to support this case, I personally would like to see that condition remain in, just to show good faith in the whatever remediation these applicants can make towards noise abatement. So I would, if I'm just saying, if somebody wants to propose that as an amendment to delete that, I would oppose it. So I'm in favor of leaving it in.
Would a wood fence suffice?
Wood fence does not provide the same sound deadening as a solid masonry fence. So I would not be agreeable to that. I don't know why I'm taking the lead in this, but at any rate, that's my feelings.
Did anybody ask for it to be taken out?
No.
You did, okay, I'm sorry. Okay. Well, somebody here would have to ask you to speak because we've closed the public portion of the meeting.
I'd like her to speak.
Okay, we have someone who wants to hear you.
And can we have a motion and then, or is there any opposition to having the public portion open?
Motion to open up the public portion again, is that what you're saying?
Yes. Okay. And just to make sure we're clear, we'll have to open it for the opposition as well. So whatever time the applicant speaks, we'll have the opposition speak as well.
Okay, we've okayed opening the public portion. We will now hear the applicant, and then we will give the same amount of time to the opposition. Thank you. Come give us your name, address, and your statement.
Thank you. My name is Nicole Moffitt. I live at 10122 Moose Road. I'll give us very quick background. For the last few years, I have been helping out with the Memphis Animal Shelter and rescuing dogs and taking in fosters. As we all know, it's very overwhelmed. So I found my passion with the dogs and also being present with my children. It's worked out to be something really beautiful. I took the leap and thought, you know what, there's people out in our community, since we live on 23 acres, there's people throughout the area that have not deadfall retrievers, just other neighbors that have kennels with, 5, 6, 7, 8 hunting dogs that stay outside full time. And so when I created this plan, I decided, I want to be the best neighbor. I don't want to be a nuisance. How can I eliminate this? So the first thing when I created my kennel was, I'm going to get rid of outdoor runs. I don't want to be the nuisance neighbor. I want to make sure they're inside and climate controlled. And then I also want to create a schedule. So for instance, the dogs play from 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. and then they go in from 10 to 12 for naps. And then they're out from 12 to 2 for playtime up again. So you see what I'm saying? They're out every few hours, ending at 6 p.m. at night for playtime, because the last thing I want to do is make my neighbors feel like they don't have a home or it's not comfortable. So when I started this, I was like, how can I make this the most comfortable environment for everybody? Thus the climate controlled and thus the very scheduled playtimes, ending at 6 p.m. long before anybody would have, I guess, dinner, bedtime. So a lot of the kennels here in Shelby County do not have just strictly indoor climate control. Majority of them do have outdoor runs. So I thought this is going to be a big hit with neighbors because I'm completely getting rid of that. And there's a lot of frustrations. Unfortunately, trying to say that we're going to be the same as deadfall retrievers down the road that has 20-something full-time outdoor retrievers that are very high drive versus Fluffy the poodle that's coming on vacation to stay at my house. So it's just a very different dynamic that we're talking about here. And I understand and I hear their frustrations. I do hear the dogs. It does not faze me. But I understand, and they're completely entitled to feeling that way. However, I felt like I eliminated this by doing indoor specific play times and then also ending at a very early time in the afternoons. The back, the actual shop it was stated it was 1,600 feet from our house, but it's 400 feet from our house. So we're actually the closest. It will
we would hear anything just as much as anybody else, which I have 2 toddlers. That's the last thing I want to hear is dogs barking all the time. So we've eliminated that by the climate control plan. Back behind the shop is very, very thick forest, and it's a cattle pasture. The cows come over, they get out of the fence frequently, and they come visit us. We built our own fence to block the cows from coming over. This has been a problem, but we try to be good neighbors and put our own fence up, even though it's not required. We put our own fence up to block the cows from continually coming over. However, also trying to be a good neighbor, we were hoping that people would be open to change as long as I respected them and respected their peace. So that's where I'm at. I would love to have a kennel. I would love to respect my neighbors. I want no part of being a bad neighbor, and I want us all to live in harmony. So I'm good with all of the recommendations. It's just the masonry wall seems a bit excessive just for the fact that it's a fully treed cow pasture right behind us. I'd be open, or I would even appreciate a vinyl fence, which also, I think it's like 5 decibels lower that it covers in comparison to the masonry wall. I was looking up the sound transfer. But a masonry wall, just it feels very heavy considering we're doing soundproofing in the kennels. The dogs are only coming up in small portions throughout the day, and there's a whole forest with cows, as well as offering some evergreens to put there. It's just kind of layer after layer after layer after layer.
Mrs. Moffett, do you believe that if the dogs are inside the climate control that you won't be able to hear barking from the outside of the barn?
I do. I believe with the sound paneling and stuff, I don't think you will hear them, especially not as isolated as we are. I do not believe so, no. Now, if you're standing right next to the shop, do I think so? Absolutely. But if you're, 500 foot away, do I think you're going to hear the dogs in between the forest, the evergreens that we've agreed to put up, and then possibly even a vinyl fence or something of that nature? Do I think? No, I truly don't. I think the problem is everybody's heard dogs for so many years out in outdoor kennels, and they just, it's put a bad taste in their mouth, and they've kind of lumped me into that bucket and said, this is what it's going to be because this is what we have experienced so far, which I hate it. I hate that they even think that, I would just leave dogs out barking all day long for them to listen to, because I don't want to listen to it either. But I feel like I've tried to take all of the precautions to appease everybody and make this a happy place for everybody, and also give me the ability to do what I love, which is being with the dogs.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, opposition, do you have anything to say? I'll give you the same amount of time if both of you want to say something.
Let me just say, evergreen trees take years to grow. And the cow, I don't own cows, so I don't know where that comes from. But again, I say, where the building is located, the building is on their property, where the building is located, there is a tree line there, and then it's my property. So it's a lot closer to my home than it is. And I do not, let me state that very clearly, I do not want to hear dogs barking. I don't want to see dogs, and I don't want the smell coming up to my patio when I'm in my home. That's the issue that I have. And I don't have, I'm not not somebody that don't love dogs. I like, everybody got their dogs, everybody can have what they want. I just don't want it in my eyesight.
Okay, thank you.
As far as deadfall retrievers is concerned, they are being investigated. They do not have no permits. They do not have a business license. So they'll be coming up in front of you at some point. So a negative vote would be appreciative. I do not think any type of fence that is short of 16 foot will cut the noise down. Certainly not vinyl, certainly not wood. Block wall would be ugly and it would do the trick, but you have to put it all the way around the whole building. It's not economical to do so. I do understand the business dynamics, I get it. we're just tired of hearing dogs all the way around. So the difference is between this one and the neighbor we currently have is they are willing to put them inside. That's a big plus, especially at nighttime. 2 o'clock in the morning, you go to the bathroom, you hear dogs. I don't want to hear it on the bedroom side. So, thank you.
Thank you. Before I close the public portion, are there any questions of either applicant or the opposition?
Yes, I was hoping, not for the opposition. What I'm trying to understand, my colleague here offered up that he was supported if we keep the condition of the concrete wall. Am I to understand if we have to do that, you're withdrawing this or you don't want to do the project? If you have to build a concrete wall, will you build it?
I mean, we would still go forward if that was the case. We don't know if we would actually, I guess, it would ever come to fruition because there's an expense that's major expense. On top of we're already adding, like it's already going to have insulation. It's just like inside your house. It's going to have insulation. It's going to have drywall and then soundproofing. And most people don't board their outdoor hunting dogs like retrievers. You usually get people's poodles and house-trained dogs. So we would still move forward. It's just an expense we would like to avoid, to be honest, is because it seems excessive to add that when we're in the middle of 22 acres.
But if we approve this matter, Chairman, it's not optional whether they build it or not. It has to be built.
But understood.
Okay, thank you.
We were just literally saying we thought it was a little too much on that one specific thing as well.
Thank
It's
you.
already inside. Insulation, drywall, soundproofing. It's no different than if your neighbor had a couple of dogs and you live in a normal neighborhood. If they bark, it actually should be quieter since it's soundproof as well.
Thank you. All right. No more questions. If there are any more questions, then I will close the public portion of this meeting. And in the meantime, we will entertain during discussion whether anybody wants to make a motion to take out number 2, or we don't want to address that at all, and we're going to go ahead as written. So does anybody want to make a motion to go with the applicant of taking out condition number 2? Does anybody on the board want to make that motion? Okay, hearing none, then Dr. Pritchard, go ahead.
Move approval of agenda item 14, SUP 2024-021CO.
Second.
Okay, it's been well, we did that once, but we went back into, I'm sorry, we went back into the public portion of the meeting. Okay, sorry about that. Okay, I assume, I'm getting confused myself. Okay, I assume we're ready to vote, and are we gonna do it individually, or are we gonna do it all together?
I can do it individually.
Okay.
Mr. Fleming?
Yes.
Mr. Gill?
Yes.
Mr. McKenna?
Abstain.
Mr. Thomas?
Yes.
Ms. Wilbanks?
Yes.
Dr. Pritchard?
Yes.
Vice Chair Lyles Wallace?